Hey, what's going on? Sergeant Gonzo Boogie here again, and this is going to be a special video where I go through and show my entire Anchor Bay horror collection. And I actually have a lot of Anchor Bay horror DVDs. They're my favorite thing to collect when it comes to horror DVDs, and I love everything about them. They always have good, decent artwork, great special features, and good transfers and everything like that. And they've just always been my favorite horror movies to collect, and they're one of the things that got me into collecting horror movies hardcore. And now that most of the Anchor Bay releases are out of print and hard to find, it's like almost like a scavenger hunt. It makes me even more so want to collect and try to get them all. So they're like the prize of my DVD collection. I just think they're awesome. So I've actually been planning on doing this video for a while. I wanted this to be my first video for October, which I'm extremely happy. It's October time and Halloween is coming up. This is one of my favorite times of the year. I love the fall and the autumn time and everything. I just think it's a great time of the year, and my favorite thing to do is to watch horror movies and talk about horror movies. So that is what I plan to do basically all month. So this is the first video I'm going to do this month, and I plan to do a couple more horror related videos, but most of my videos are horror related anyways. But I plan on showing my John Carpenter collection and a couple other things like that this month. But since this is going to be a long video though, I figure I should just get going on it because I have a lot of Anchor Bays. I actually think I'm going to try to do a tally at the end, figure out how many exactly I have, but I think I have like over 50 Anchor Bay editions, so I don't want this video to drag on too long, so I'm not going to talk too much about each edition, but I will go through each of my Anchor Bays I have and just show you guys which edition and what it looks like and everything like that. So it's going to start off with my Romero zombie movies, and I have a couple editions of Dawn of the Dead on DVD. This is the theatrical US cut of the movie, and I've always really liked the artwork on this DVD. Very colorful, very cool. Just not really what you think of when you think of Dawn of the Dead. Very bloody, but then again, it's also like almost very 70s artwork, which Dawn of the Dead was a 70s movie with very bright colors and bright blood and everything. But nice disc artwork and a good insert, and I'll try to show most of the artwork off, but just again, I don't want the video to run too long, so I can't show every single insert and booklet off in detail, but I'll just try to give you guys a good idea in case you're interested in what some of these look like and what some of the inserts and everything look like. But this is the special edition of Dawn of the Dead, and this is also just the US theatrical cut of the movie. This is a nice DVD, got some good special features and a cool insert. And next up I have the European cut of George A. Romero's classic. And this one was actually presented by Dario Argento and features more music by the band Goblin, who is just an awesome progressive rock like soundtrack band. Just a really cool edition right here also. Nice insert. And then last for my Dawn of the Dead movies, I have the Ultimate Edition 4-disc box set, which this is just a fantastic box set. If you find this for a good price, it's definitely worth picking up. I actually got mine used, so I don't have the back information slip anymore. But other than that, this is in really good condition. And this is a 4-disc set and includes the US theatrical cut, and then it also includes the European cut of the movie, but then it includes a cut of the movie that I think is unique to this set, which is a some sort of director's cut or extended cut of the movie that I think it was the cut that they used when they premiered the movie. But what I've read, it's like not one of Romero's favorite cuts of the movie. He prefers the theatrical cut. And also I've read that the movie features more stock music than the other cuts, so it has less Goblin music and more of the stock music. So eventually I have to check that out and see what it's all about for myself. But for right now, my favorite cut of this movie is the European cut. For some reason, I just like that one the best. Right, and then next up, I have a couple different copies of Day of the Dead. This is the 2-disc edition, and this is a really nice edition. It has a cool little snap thing here. And then it also comes with a really cool insert, and just the whole layout inside looks nice too. Some nice special features and all that. Just really cool release of this movie. Then I also have a single disc release of Day of the Dead, and this is actually an older DVD release of this. And I don't see this too often. I don't come across this edition too much in stores, and I actually don't see too many people show it in their videos either. So this is, I've always just really liked this edition because it's almost, you know, unique to the Day of the Dead releases, because it's, I think, the one of the harder ones to find. Even though I've looked this up before and it doesn't go for too much money, but still, I just think it's one of the less common releases of Day of the Dead you can find. Original movie poster, and I just love that. That's probably my favorite out of all the Romero zombie movie posters. I would love to get an actual poster of that one of these days. And then last for my Romero collection is Creepshow 2, which I actually like this movie just as much as I like the first one. It's always been hard for me to decide if I like this one less than the first one or not, because I enjoy watching both of them equally. This is a really cool edition. This is actually the second release Anchor Bay put out at Creepshow 2, and this one is supposed to mimic the look of a old EC comic from like the 50s or whatever, and I just think they did a pretty good job. I think this is a nice looking release. Just a 1-disc release, comes with a cool little booklet and everything, so definitely my favorite DVD release, Creepshow 2. Right, next up is my Halloween films, and I actually have a good amount of Halloween Anchor Bay releases. This is actually my first copy of Halloween Anchor Bay edition I have, and this is one of the first releases of Halloween on DVD ever. This is actually from '97. This is the first time Anchor Bay released it on DVD in the US. I don't know. This could be the first DVD release of Halloween. I know I've talked about this in some of my other videos, but this is one of the rarer editions of Halloween, because you know, you don't see it too much since there's been so many re-releases of Halloween. It's probably had over like 10 or even more than that re-releases with box sets and everything included just from Anchor Bay. So this is a little bit harder to find than some of the other editions. Well, this is nice. It actually includes no special features except the trailer, but that's what I like about these older DVDs. They're very basic, you know, and for some reason I like that sometimes. Then this is probably one of the rarer editions of Halloween you can get on DVD, and this has the holographic cover, which is really cool. And this is just a 1-disc set, but I've seen this go online for almost like $100 before, so from what I know, this is one of the more expensive Halloween Anchor Bay releases. Came with a cool postcard thing, and a replica of the movie poster like Anchor Bay does a lot. Just a really nice edition right here. And I also have the extended TV cut of Halloween, which is a cool cut of the movie to watch. If you've seen the first one, you know, 100 times, it's cool to watch this one every once in a while. My edition of this actually isn't in the best condition, but it still plays all the way through. There's like a few scuffs on the disc. But this is really cool. I like this. This is actually a rare DVD too now. Most of the Anchor Bays are, because they're all out of print. Well, most of the older ones are now. And then here we have Halloween 4. And this is actually the first DVD release of Halloween 4 too on DVD. And it has no special features either, other than just a trailer. but still I like it. And that's what the inside of this one looks like. And I love the movie poster for this. It's probably one of my favorite out of the Halloween movie posters, even though it's hard to say because all the Halloween movie posters are pretty good for the first 4 or 5 films. Then I actually have another release of Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. And this one I like just because I had a close-up shot of the face on the poster, which I've never really seen this edition before. I came across this at a thrift store for a couple bucks, so I thought it was pretty cool. You know, it just looks like your basic re-release of the Halloween movie. It's just the cover stood out to me, so that's why I picked it up. This actually has a couple special features on it, so you know, that's cool. I always like to get DVDs with special features on it if I have a copy that doesn't have too many. And then I have the special edition of Halloween 5, which has some really good special features and has an introduction from some of the actresses in this movie, which I think is really cool and fun. And I've always liked the 5th one basically the same as the 4th. I always just thought of both going together well, even though I do think the 4th one is a little bit better of a movie in a sense, but I still love to watch both of these movies back to back. They're probably my 2 favorite Halloween movies, 4 and 5, even though the first 3 I think are better movies the way they're directed and written, but for some reason 4 and 5 were some of the first ones I'd ever seen. I've always had a connection to the 4th and 5th Halloween. Like when I think about Halloween time in the fall, I always think of these movies. And I also have the Anchor Bay tins of Halloween 4 and 5, which these are kind of expensive now and are out of print and rare, and when they were released they were limited numbered and everything, so these are really cool. And I also have the one for 5, which this one comes with some really cool inserts and has some nice special features on it too. So just in case some of you guys never seen the inside of one of these tins, I'll just show real quick. This is how they're put together basically, and it has the booklet, the insert, and then it has the DVD inside like a CD jewel case, and it's all just placed neatly inside. I just think it looks nice. So eventually I actually plan on getting all of the Anchor Bay horror tins. There's one for Hellraiser and from the Beyond, and there's more, so those are really cool too for an Anchor Bay collection. And I've always wanted to get those, so I'm glad to finally pick a couple of those up. Those are actually recent purchases. I got those probably like a month ago or a little bit less than that, like a week or so. But next up here we have the Hills Have Eyes from Wes Craven. This is actually the 1-disc release, and eventually I plan on picking up the 2-disc special edition with a booklet and everything. I used to have that years ago. It was actually my first copy of the Hills Have Eyes with the 2-disc, so I just want to buy it back again. But this is a nice release of it anyways. Then I have the Evil Dead Ultimate Edition, which I think is really cool. This is a 3-disc set, and it comes with the full screen, the widescreen, and then it comes with a disc with bonus features. So, you know, a really nice collector's set of this. It has some really nice artwork and everything. Just cool, real cool in my opinion. Glad I picked that up. Then I have the single disc edition of Evil Dead, and this is just your basic Evil Dead on Anchor Bay. Mine just has this sleeve that was put on some of their movies when they re-released them around Halloween time at one point one year. Really cool though. I love Evil Dead films, some of my favorite horror movies ever. And this is the older Anchor Bay release of Evil Dead 2 with the original movie poster, which I've always wanted to get this, so I'm really glad to have this. Just a really nice looking DVD in my opinion. The inside of that, they couldn't use that skull picture more in my opinion. Just an awesome picture. Then I have the other release of Evil Dead 2 from Anchor Bay, which this one's also really nice too. Has some good special features and everything. And then there's the single disc release of Army of Darkness, which is nice. I like the cover artwork on here, a little different than what you see in a lot of Army of Darkness releases. And this was actually the first Evil Dead film I saw, and I'm sure that's the case for a lot of people who grew up in the 90s like myself. And later on I found out about Evil Dead 1 and 2, which are, like I said, are two of my favorite horror movies ever. But this is just cool. I've always just loved Army of Darkness. One of my favorite like horror movies, if you can call it a horror movie. And this is the 2-disc edition, the Boomstick edition of Army of Darkness on DVD. And this is a really nice set. It actually comes with the US cut, the US theatrical release on disc 1, and then disc 2 is the director's cut. Which, in my opinion, I actually like the theatrical cut the best, just because it's the one I grew up with. It's the one I remember seeing. It's the one I'm comfortable with. But the director's cut was fun to watch too, so definitely suggest to check that out for anyone who hasn't seen the director's cut yet. Right, next up here we have some of my Italian horror movies on DVD. The Anchor Bay releases, and this is one of my favorite Anchor Bay releases I have, and one of my favorite DVDs in my whole collection. And this is the 3-disc limited edition release of Suspiria. And again, I recently picked this up probably like a month ago or so, and this is just one of my favorite DVDs I own. And I was so glad to get this finally. Comes with the movie on disc 1, a huge chunk of inserts and booklets. And then disc 2 is special features, and disc 3 is actually the soundtrack, which this is one of my favorite horror movie soundtracks ever. And I actually used a sample from the soundtrack for the intro for this video, so just a quick taste of the awesomeness of Goblin and Suspiria. And I also have the 1-disc release, which is the same as the first disc of the box set. It has the same artwork and the same insert, even though the box set comes with I think it comes with about 12 inserts. It comes with a booklet and then like 10 or 11 little insert replica things. So the box set is just great, but it's extremely rare and out of print now, so this is a little bit cheaper to come across the 1-disc release. I also have Inferno by Argento, which this was, I guess, a sequel in some sense to Suspiria. And this is actually one of my favorite Argento movies. Really good. Inside of that one. And then Phenomena, which is another great Argento movie. I just love most of his mid to late 70s and 80s movies. He basically every single one I think is good. Phenomena. Really nice artwork on this. This has Donald Pleasance in it, who is known for being in the Halloween series. The inside of this, an awesome replica of the poster right there. And this here is actually probably my second favorite Argento movie, my first being Suspiria. And this is Opera, and I just love this. I just think this is a really awesome horror movie. Just shows really what Argento does best. If you've never seen this one and you love Suspiria, definitely check this out. Alright, next I have a couple of the Dario Argento limited edition sets that they put out. This is the second one. I'm actually only missing the first. This one comes with Demons and Demons 2, which is kind of weird because he didn't direct those movies, he just produced them. But they have the Argento stamp of approval, so these are really good. And I was gonna say, if you've never really seen any Italian horror movies and you're just getting into them or whatever, these ones are pretty good to go with because they have like a lot of American rock and roll music in it, and they just have that like more American vibe. You can tell that the creators are trying to make them so they can release them like internationally or whatnot. So these are really fun, really good movies. I would put these up there with some of the best 80s horror movies, like really fun ones, you know, with that like Return of the Living Dead vibe to them. And the Demons movies are really good. And then this is another 2-pack, and this has Tenebrae, or Tenebrae. I always pronounce that wrong. I've been told a couple times how to say it right, but I don't even remember anymore, so I could be saying it wrong, I could be saying it right. And then Deep Red, which is one of his earlier Giallo movies. I actually really like Deep Red, Tenebrae. I'm a little iffy about. I think it's one of his weirder films, but it's one of his classics. Anyways, it's still a really cool movie to watch. But these 2-packs are also really expensive now and hard to come by, and they're pretty cool. They basically just take the discs and the inserts from the single editions and just slam them all together, so I think that's cool too. And then right here is Lucio Fulci Zombie, which I love the cover art on this, and this is one of the Anchor Bay DVDs that when I first started to collect Anchor Bays and first really started collecting horror movies, this was at the top of my list, and it took me years to finally get around to getting it. And you know, after seeing it and having this on DVD for a while, the movie itself is nothing to really brag about. It's somewhat of an Italian sequel to Dawn of the Dead, the European cut of Dawn of the Dead. This is like a sequel to that in a sense, but really there's not too much connection. It's just kind of more like a voodoo zombie movie, and it's cool for that reason. I would say it's probably one of the better voodoo zombie movies I've ever seen, but it just has a really dirty, gritty vibe to it. Everything's really muddy and wet and like nasty in this movie, but it's really cool. And there's the famous scene in this movie where there's like a zombie fighting the shark, which is awesome. And you know, so this is just a fun movie to watch. Zombie, also known as Zombie 2. And then some more Lucio Fulci right here. This is the Beyond, and there's also an Anchor Bay tin of this, so eventually I want to try to pick that up. But this is a really nice edition of this. Came in this clear case. Got the insert and the cool disc and everything, and again, just I think this is a really nice edition. This movie is a very weird movie. Has a lot of like gore, just what you expect from the Italian horror movies. I'd recommend this one though. And then this is The House by the Cemetery, which this is also a really good one too, and kind of like a haunted housey monster in the basement type story. So I've always really liked this one. There's a little kid in this movie though who is really annoying, but I don't think it's the kid's fault, because it's an actor, and you know, a little kid actor that I see in a lot of these Italian horror movies, some of the Argento ones too. I think it's the person who dubbed his voice. It was just very annoying, and I would say it somewhat ruins parts of the movie, but other than that, it is a really good Lucio Fulci film. House by the Cemetery. And then here, last for my Lucio Fulci stuff, I have this 2-pack, which is also extremely rare and out of print now. I've seen this going for a lot on eBay and Amazon, so glad to have this, even though the films on this, I would say, are not some of my favorites. I actually don't really remember Manhattan Baby too much, but New York Ripper, from what I remember, was like kind of a real nasty movie. I just remember not really enjoying watching it. And usually when it comes to horror movies, I can find something in them to like or something to follow, but I just thought it was kind of a disgusting movie and just weird, but you know, I'd probably watch it again anyways. There's a nice little set anyways. Glad to have it. Alright, and down here I have the Wicker Man theatrical cut, and I've never been the biggest fan of this movie. I bought it mostly because Christopher Lee's in it, and Christopher Lee's the man. But I wish I had the director's cut or extended edition of this. I used to, years ago, but now all I have is this like real, I would say almost like a cheap release of the theatrical cut of the movie. And this movie's been remade, and I've seen the remake too, and I would have to say the original is better, even though I'm not really that big of a fan of the original either. Alright, next up here is Alice, Sweet Alice, which this is awesome. This is another one of the Anchor Bays that I've been wanting forever, so I was really glad to finally pick this one up. And this is just a cool slasher movie too. It actually had been a while since I had seen this, because the last time I saw it was like 5-6 years ago. But this is really cool, very Giallo-esque for the Italian Argento fans. This is a really good one to watch. Some cool inserts in here. Well, just one cool booklet thing. And the disc art I think is nice too. I actually really like the artwork on this. A movie poster I like a lot too, but for some reason I like the choice they went with for the cover. And I got Phantasm. This is the one of the newer releases, or I think the last release Anchor Bay put out on DVD. This is really nice. It's loaded with special features and just altogether just a really nice looking edition of the movie. It's in like a clear case with like a slip cover. Just a really nice Anchor Bay edition. And I have Phantasm 3 on DVD from Anchor Bay. And I've never seen this yet. I still haven't seen any of the Phantasm sequels, but I'm looking forward to watching them eventually. And I have this 2-pack that has 2 Lamberto Bava movies, and Lamberto Bava is the son of Mario Bava. Both of them are Italian horror movie directors. And these movies are actually pretty good. I really like A Blade in the Dark. I would put that right up there with some of the Argento Giallos. I think it's really good. And the Macabre is also good, but I would say that one's a little bit weirder too, kind of fetishy. I would say some of these, that's the problem I have with the New York Ripper. Some of these Italian horror movies have some like odd, like fetishy stuff going on in them, and it distracts me away from the story and everything. So. But other than that, I would definitely say check out Blade in the Dark. Really good. Alright. And then I have right here Maniac, which is a really cool slasher movie from the 80s. This has Tom Savini doing the effects, and he also plays a small role in this. And he's just a great special effects artist. I'm sure everybody watching this know who he is. And this has some good special features on it. And this is just a really weird slasher movie, but at the same time I think it's really good. And I think it tells the story of a serial killer in a very unique way. And it's also cool. I love the ending for this movie too, just very cool also. I got Sleepaway Camp, which is an awesome 80s slasher movie, again with a crazy twist at the end, which I won't ruin for anybody. And I've always liked this. I've always thought it was a pretty decent out of the 80s slasher movies, Sleepaway Camp. I actually wish mine came with the insert, which is always sad when you get an Anchor Bay edition without the insert, but it's that chance you gotta take sometimes. Alright, and then I got House on DVD, which this is out of print and rare now. Like I've said before, most of these are, but some are just a little bit more expensive than others. And this one, for example, does seem to go for like a good $40-50. Really nice insert on this, and this is a pretty good movie. I've actually only seen this once, and I would say it was a really weird movie, but at the same time I thought it was good. And then I have this cool Hellraiser 2-pack with the first 2 Hellraiser movies, which are my 2 favorites in the series. And this has some like a little bit of special features on it too. And basically, they just took the one disc editions and slapped them together in a set, which I always think is nice. But I wouldn't mind getting both of these separate Anchor Bay editions one of these days. Alright, so next up here we have Bad Taste. And this is actually one of the rarer editions of Bad Taste because it has the middle finger cover, and this was re-released without that, where he's doing the like 2 or the peace sign, whatever it is. I'm not even sure. But this I've always just loved, and this is the edition that I've always wanted to get, of course, because it's the harder to find one. So this is a really weird movie. Peter Jackson's early movies are very bloody, very weird, just in general. So, you know, if you've never seen a Peter Jackson's one of his earlier movies, I would say this is probably my favorite, even though a lot of people would say Dead Alive is probably his best. But for some reason, I've always liked Bad Taste a little bit more. Oh, and that's like the middle finger thing, like how they switched it on the front right there, like how they have it on the disc. But this comes with a cool insert too. Just a weird movie. And then I have Night of the Demons, which is a really fun movie that takes place on Halloween. It takes place at a Halloween party, and it's just really cool. I think it's one of the coolest 80s horror movies. Night of the Demons. I got Manhunter, which this is my favorite Hannibal Lecter movie ever made. I think this is a really awesome movie. This is from the 80s, and everything about this I just think is fantastic. The serial killer in this, the guy who plays the cop guy, I think does a really good job. And then you got Hannibal Lecter's character. And if you've seen the movie like Red Dragon or one of the newer Hannibal Lecter movies, you've seen, like, you basically know what the plot of this movie is. But I think this is actually better. I just think it's a really good movie right here. Highly recommend Manhunter. This is a cool 2-pack I have with Elvira, the Mistress of the Dark, and Transylvania 65000, which I bought this just for the Elvira movie because Elvira is just awesome. And around Halloween time, I mean, she is just the best. You know, she hosts her show and does everything else. So always just been, if you're a fan of horror movies, I think you have to be a fan of Elvira. But you know, it's got a cool insert there, and just a nice little Anchor Bay 2-pack. Then I have the Children of the Corn. This is the special edition release, 25th anniversary. And this is a really good movie too. I'm sure most people have seen this. This is one of the more popular titles, I guess, released from Anchor Bay, based on a Stephen King story. Comes with a couple of really nice, like a nice booklet and an insert, and just really good. I would recommend this movie, and I think this is one of the best DVD releases of it. Then again, this is one of my DVDs that's a little bit more expensive in my Anchor Bay collection, the Silent Night Deadly Night 2-pack. This is the original Anchor Bay release of this, and this is extremely out of print now, of course, and goes for a lot of money brand new. So I'm glad to find it. I'm glad to have this. I actually found this at a pawn shop. Got it for like $1 or $2. So just one of those awesome pawn shop finds. Comes with a really nice booklet, actually. And sorry if there's been a glare on these DVDs throughout this video. I actually can't really see what I'm filming right now because I have the camera pointing at the shelf, so I'm not sure if there's a glare or not. From what it looks like I'm filming, there's not, but if there is, I'm sorry about that. And then this is the last Anchor Bay I have right over here in this shelf, and this is for Highlander, which is not a horror movie, but Highlander is a really great, fun movie if you've never seen it. I would say it's one of the best science fiction movies, and I was always under the interpretation that this movie was too like nerdy for me, and this movie is really like a badass movie. The main villain in this movie, like the Kurgan or whatever his name is, it's been a while since I've seen this, so I could be saying that wrong. It's just, I think, one of the best villains in movie history. Definitely one of the best movies in science fiction history. One of the best villains in science fiction history. So Highlander, would highly recommend Highlander. Alright, next up I actually have a good chunk of Anchor Bay Hammer horror releases. So I'm actually going to move my camera over to where I have my Hammer horror DVDs, and I'll continue the video there. Alright, and this is the last stop on my tour of my Anchor Bay collection. And this is actually my Hammer horror shelf. I have a couple Hitchcock movies at the end, but basically all these are my Hammer movies, and I have a pretty good chunk of Hammer Anchor Bay releases, and all the Hammer Anchor Bay releases are extremely expensive, and it kind of pisses me off because there's one that I need, the Horror of Frankenstein, and I cannot find it for less than $40 used, and right now that's just too much for me to spend on a used DVD, $40. So a lot of these I've spent around, I usually don't go over 25, 30 on a single DVD unless it's like a box set or something crazy like that. But so a lot of these I've spent a lot of money on. I don't really want to go into details about those, but I usually try to hunt down a good price though. So most of the time I won't order one of these unless I can get a really good price on it. But so I'm just gonna go through these real quick too. This is Scars of Dracula. Really nice looking DVD release here, and this is a really fun installment in the Hammer Dracula series. I just love the Hammer films, and you know, this is no exception. Just another great installment. This is actually the 2-disc release of this, which is awesome. Great insert right there. And then this has the Many Faces of Christopher Lee as a bonus disc, which is really cool. Then I have this 2-disc pack of this double feature of Frankenstein Created Woman and The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. And the really cool thing about this set is it actually comes with both versions of The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. It comes with the American cut of the movie, which is known as The Seven Brothers Meet Dracula, which now I know, I think with the re-release of this, I don't think that comes with that, but I could be wrong, because I know that they've re-released the Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires on DVD and Blu-ray, I think, but I'm not sure if it comes with that other edition of the movie, actually. I actually have the re-release on DVD right here on this 3-pack, and it does not come with the other version of the movie, so that's why I love the Anchor Bay releases. Just always awesome. But this looks really nice inside. Got the poster. It only came with a poster for The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, but I was just glad to get a insert. I bought this brand new, so I was expecting both inserts, but I was glad to get anything. And then it comes with the disc for Frankenstein Created Woman. It's really cool. Both of these are pretty good installments in the series. The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires is actually the last in Hammer's Dracula series, and it does not feature Christopher Lee, which is always a disappointment, but it's still pretty good. This is the Mummy Shroud, and this is the third Mummy movie, and this is one of my favorites. I had this DVD when I was a lot younger, and I've just always liked this. This is one of the Hammer movies I just always liked for some reason. I'm not really sure why. The poster for this always stood out to me too. I used to have it as like my wallpaper on my computer at one time. And then this is the last in Hammer's Mummy series, The Blood from the Mummy's Tomb. This is really nice. This is actually supposed to be a 2-disc set, but I got this used and it did not include the second disc, which is a disappointment, but it came with the DVD in good condition and also the booklet, so I didn't complain too much. And this is actually unique for a Mummy movie since it doesn't actually feature a mummy in bandages, but it still features, you know, a mummy in a sense of a, you know, Egyptian whatever getting brought back to life. So it's still cool like that. And this is The Plague of the Zombies, which is a zombie movie that Hammer put out, and this is like a voodoo zombie movie. And all the voodoo zombie movies, this is another good one, along with Zombie from Lucio Fulci. I would say this is another really cool one to watch too. And White Zombie, of course, with Bela Lugosi is interesting, and an interesting film also. And then here we have the insert, which I just think is awesome, which is it's billed as a double feature with Dracula, Prince of Darkness. And then I got Rasputin, the Mad Monk, which is a movie starring Christopher Lee about Rasputin, which this is a really cool movie. I would definitely highly recommend this to any Christopher Lee fan. And then the Reptile, which is pretty cool. It's actually been a while since I've seen this one, but basically all I remember is that the reptile monster is like a female, which is pretty cool because you don't see a lot of too many like female monsters, especially in the older horror movies. And then last is the Anniversary, starring Betty Davis, and this is all right. This is kind of like a murder mystery thing where everybody's in one house trying to figure out something. And you know, it's actually been a really long time since I've seen this, but it was pretty good. It was well acted, well filmed, you know, all that, but just not the type of hammer I'm looking for. But you know, one of my friends I think picked this up for me at like a pawn shop, and you know, anything that's from Anchor Bay that has hammer on it, I'm looking to pick up. I actually want to get all of their hammer releases, but they put out so many. They have 2-pack single releases, just a bunch, and they're all expensive. So basically anytime I come across one in a store or come across one online cheap, I'll try to get it. But that was my entire Anchor Bay collection, and sorry that it dragged on for so long. I probably split this up in 2 parts. By now, if you're watching this, you know, but right now I'm not sure because I'm not exactly sure how long this is. But you know, again, thanks you guys for watching my videos. You know, I hope everybody has a good October and fall time, and especially a great Halloween. I should have some really awesome videos coming up for the rest of this month. So again, thanks for watching. Leave a comment or give this video a thumbs up if you liked it.